Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and all the mini set cards have been revealed. They're going live later today, or maybe live already as you're watching this, and I thought, what better time, like we always like to do, and rate every single card from the mini set on a tier list from S through F, S being God tier, F being unplayable garbage, or more likely just an arena card, and the templates down below if you want to fill it out yourself and show me how I'm wrong. And I will be streaming the mini set launch and trying out all the new stuff in the shop and going for achievements and seeing what the anomalies are all like over twitch.tv/Zeddy around 10 a.m. Pacific time. Probably start like half an hour early or so. So if you want to come hang out, check out all the new stuff. We'll be streaming over there. And of course, we are announcing our giveaway winners for the mini set. As of recording this, I think we're just short of 73,000. Could be there by tomorrow, but I don't care. We're giving away 3 mini sets to these giveaway winners. They've all been contacted. If I don't hear back from them in 24 hours, I'll contact new winners. There'll be giveaways in the future as always. You know, that next expansion is probably coming just right around the next corner. So we'll have more standard bundles, mega bundles to give away. Heck, I might even do a Cthulhu portrait giveaway too, because that one's really sick. So stay tuned. There'll be more free stuff to get. But anyways, let's take a look at the cards. There's 38 of them. I'm not gonna go super depth, but let's rate them S through F. First, we have the Druid card, Arrow Soilizer, a 3-mana 2/2 Battlecry Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 Treant. I think it's just auto-include in the Treant Druid decks. Drum Druid in particular seems pretty solid. I'll give it an A. It's a 3-mana 6/6 with Treant synergy, and that deck is always looking for more early game to play to survive to that high roll turn. I just don't really see much of a downside, and I could see it play in wild. Alarm Security Bot, the 4-mana 4/3 mech for Paladin. Death Rattle, draw another minion, set its attack health at cost of 5. It's a real scam card of those big Paladin decks. You play this on 4, you can play like Neptulon on 5. You can play any big giant thing. Seems busted to me. I don't know if it'll spawn like Big Paladin to be a legit threat, but I would not sleep on this card whatsoever. I'm also going to give it an A. I just think that type of mana cheat can be really scary, and it says another minion. It can't even hit itself if you're running 2, so look out for that card. It looks really strong. We have Assembly Line, 1-mana mech for Rogue. Discover a mech from another class. I think it's solid. It goes more to like the Miracle mech Rogue style things. They all run mechs because the mechs are just broken, but if you're looking to run like the location and all that, other class mechs are insane. You can get Colossals, you can get Mecha Shark. There's a lot of good stuff to get. I'll give it a B. I think it's a bit more niche, but I do think it will see latter play. We have the Battle Worn Faceless 2-mana 2/2 warrior card. Battlecry, transform into a copy of a damaged minion. This was busted when it was 3 mana. You got a 3/3 with it at a time with Bloodsworn Mercenary, but I just don't see this card not being incredible. It'll find a home somewhere, whether it's in Rage Warrior, a combo deck where you're just copying a big charger. It's the cheapest copy effect we've ever seen that I'm aware of in Hearthstone, and it's going to a class that has gotten a lot of good tools lately. Look out for that. That could probably be a nerf candidate at some point. We have Bestial Madness, a 2-mana shadow spell for Hunter. Get +1 attack to all your minions in your hand, deck, and battlefield. I don't think this sees realistic play in Hunter. Just +1 attack across everything. It's not bad. It's theoretically like a bunch of stats. It just seems kind of a little bit slow and non-intuitive for the current Hunter deck, especially like Arcane Hunter. It's not Fight for Birth that hard. It is to an extent, but I don't think the weapon or the minion buff is that strong. We have the Celestial Shot, a 3-mana arcane spell for Hunter. This deals 3 damage right out the gate, which it's arcane, so it can get hand buffed by other arcane stuff, and your next spell has spell damage +2. This curves into your Links card that summons Rushers, giving you 3 4/4s on 4. I think this is S tier. I think this card is insane. It can give you a ton of extra reach. It's removal. It's just buffing, you know, minion stuff, and it seems busted to me. I'm giving it an S, and Arcane Hunter's already like pretty top tier. Did get nerfed recently, but it's still a competitive deck, and I feel like this puts it right back on the map. It seems really strong. You have the Chaotic Tendril, 1-mana 1/1 neutral minion Battlecry, cast a random 1-cost spell, improve your future Chaotic Tendrils. There's a bunch of cards that generate this, so you can get more of them. I see it being like a rogue thing where you're like shadow stepping them and generating them through other means. And when you get up to like 9 cost, I did a tweet on that. There's only 3 9-cost spells: Scourge, Sunwell, and to the front lines or whatever it's called, the Paladin spell that just screws you over. That's pretty scary. I'm gonna give it a B. I think this card, with all the support I've seen and the potential high rolls it has, could see play, but I mostly see it in Rogue as it stands right now, so not totally sleeping on it. Cho'Gall Twilight Chieftain is 6 mana, 6/7 neutral legendary, has Taunt and Lifesteal. Ogre, being power crept yet again. Start a game, 25% chance to corrupt the game with a random anomaly. If your opponent also has this card, it then becomes 100%. In our video yesterday, we went over all the anomalies if you want to check it out. I don't think this is a competitive card. I think it's a meme card, and there's a reason they're forcing anomalies 100% of the games the first week, and then 25% of the games until the next set, because I don't think it'll be a very popular card. Because yeah, 6 mana, 6/7, Lifesteal Taunt, not worth it in today's game, that is for sure. And and also you can't really build around 20 different anomalies, right? You can't really take advantage of it for that 1 in 4 chance it happens in that game if you're the only person running it. I just don't see it being competitive, but really cool card. Conductivity, 2 mana nature spell for Shaman. The next spell you cast this turn also targets adjacent minions. I don't feel like there's enough synergy in standard for this. You have like Jive Insect, you have like your Lifesteal, get 6 health spell, I guess, but overall, not enough like Shaman strategies are utilizing this. Zentimo exists in Wild, and that's like kind of better than this, and sees very fringe play even there, where there's way more synergies. I'll give it a C, but you never know. It could move up to a B at some point. We have the Contaminated Lasher, 2 mana, 3/2. Minion for Druid, Battlecry. If you cast 5 or more spells this game, refresh 4 mana crystals. It's with the theme of casting 5 spells in a game. You'll see it a bunch this set. A lot of mana regain. I don't know what Druid really can use with that currently in Standard. In Wild, this seems very scary, Tony Druid. I'm still going to give it a B. I just have no idea what archetype it could spawn or what it could do, but that much mana refresh, like an Innervate on a 2/2 or a 3/2, a Lightning Bloom on a 2 mana 3/2 seems kind of nuts. So I'll give it a B, but overall, I don't see it having a major impact yet in Standard. Again, Wild, whole different story. We have Curse of Flesh, the 1 mana shadow spell for Warlock. Enemy minions cost health instead of mana next turn. This makes your tendrils really bad on 1 if you hit it, because your opponent can play all their minions as long as they have the health, and we typically know this effect is not good, as we have like Commander Altharok there that was on like everything. It's a 5 mana 7/7 aggressive stats. One of the worst cards out there, absolute F tier, and makes random generation like, Yogg location a little bit worse. If Encroaching Insanity, 3 mana Warlock spell, both players take fatigue damage twice. There is some real shenanigans you can do with like OTKs going immune. In Wild at least, just do this with Tamsin and just like OTK with like play 2 Encroachings and to play 2 more for 0 mana. That is a ridiculous amount of damage, and you do have the Fellstring Harp in Standard that can block damage. I don't know. This card just to me reeks of like degeneracy and being a sleeper and being playable for the way it scales, or just scaling up to hit a huge crescendo and doing an OTK in that regard. There is possibilities with that fatigue package that is quite strong, and this might be the thing to put it over the top. So I'm going to give it a B. I think it's got a shot, but I'm not entirely sold on making it like a top tier card. We have the Eye of Chaos, 5 mana 5/4 epic, the only epic of the set. Battlecry, you get 2 1/1 chaotic tendrils. Again, maybe Rogue plays it, but the Miracle Rogue I'm thinking of, this is too high curve for that. It's a 5 mana 5/4, and Shadow Step it's still 3. I think it's a C. I think it's a too slow of a tendril card, but maybe it slots up to a B. That's one I'm kind of on the fence about, but I do feel like, it is a 5 mana 5/4. It is quite slow. We have the Forbidden Fruit, Druid spell, 0 mana. You spend all your mana, choose 1, you gain that much attack this turn, or twice as much armor. So in Wild, you got Guff, you could go to 20 mana, gain 20 attack or 40 armor, which is ridiculous. In Standard, can't do that. You could go up to 11, but you can make it combine effects. It's just a flexible card, whether you want to remove something, gain some armor to stay alive. I think this slots into multiple Druid decks for its flexibility and also its synergies with Ignis, getting a Wind Fury weapon. You play this with 10 mana or 11 mana. That is a lot of attack for Wind Fury, which can be pretty insane. We have the Warrior Legendary General Vezex, a 7 mana 7/6 rush minion. It's Battlecry, you gain 4 armor. Death Rattle, you lose 4 armor to resummon this. So as long as you have 4 armor, it will keep coming back. There is some negative to it because you're losing armor. You might end up dying if you play this, but it seems like a solid mini to play an Armor Warrior. I'm not sold on it being a top tier card though. I think it'll be a meta card, at least early on, and then it might just fall out of favor. but I do think it gets a solid B because a 7/6 you can't remove. That's a lot of damage to just leave on the board. And if it's just trading and killing everything, that's also a bit of a problem. The main downside being you need to have armor to keep that going and also maybe to stay alive. We have the Shaman Minion Infested Watcher, 4 mana 4/4 taunt, Death Rattle, get 2 1/1 Chaotic Tendrils. I just don't see Shaman using the tendrils that well. I don't know what this would really slot into in Shaman right now. It's just kind of a whatever card. I'm gonna give it a C, but a really darn good arena pick. If Keeper Strength, a 4 mana holy spell for Paladin, give a friendly minion +2/+2, deal its attack damage to all their minions. Really solid in like a big Paladin deck where you're trying to clear the board and you don't usually have that many. You don't have that many wide. Even in like pure Paladin, maybe it's good enough with Light Ray where you play a 0 mana Light Ray, play this, deal 7 to everything and then develop. That can be solid. I'll give it a B as well. I think this is a meta card in some decks, has potential. It just, yeah, it's double-sided. It hits everything. And no, it does not work with lifesteal. It does not work with poisonous as the spell is dealing the damage, not the minion. We have Meddlesome Servant, 3 mana 3/4 mage minion. Battlecry, if you cast 5 or more spells this game, draw 2 cards. Not that hard to cast 5 spells in mage, but hard to do on curve. And the card draw options in mage are plentiful at the moment. You got Volume Up, you have the 0 mana Narganon spell. I don't think mage needs this at the moment. It's not a bad card. I just think it doesn't make the cut in mage at the moment. I'll give it a low B though, because it's not bad, right? Like it's a spider dank that draws 2 cards. It's really not too bad. We have the Mind Bender, 4 mana 4/4 Demon Hunter minion. Battlecry, deal 1 damage for each card you have drawn this turn. In Wild, I feel like this could be really nuts. Play this with like Lion's Frenzy, the quest line. There's just damage being asked to be made there. Pretty nuts. You glide and all sorts of synergies going with it. In Standard, not nearly as much. It does scare me a little bit, but at 4 mana and with not like the most insane card draw options available outside of Glaivetar being probably the best option you have, I'm going to give it a B. Again, a very solid card, a scary card, but in Standard, probably not enough to be at that top tier level. We have the Muscleotron, a 3 mana 2/4 mech for Paladin. Battlecry, give all minions to your hand +1/+1. If you forge this, they get +2/+2. I think it's too slow for like Mech Paladin Wild, but in Standard, I think it can really fit in. Hell, you can just play it and just like pure Paladin. It's a hand buff card. It's got the Mech Tribe. There's some good stuff going on with it. I'm going to give it a B as well. Again, not a big powerhouse, but a pretty solid card. We have the Prison Breaker, a 4 mana 4/4 minion. Neutral minion. If you've cast 5 or more spells this game, deal 3 damage to all enemies. Probably Druid is looking at this card. They're the class that runs, plays a lot of spells that doesn't have a ton of AoE. This can also go face. The other class that I would think of is maybe Rogue, as they also don't have much AoE, but they have a lot of really good single target removal, unlike Druid, which struggles in both things. So I think it could be a fringe card in Druid, and that's about it. I'm still going to give it a C, as I still think it's probably too clunky for Druid, because they're probably not playing 5 spells by the time you curve into this, and it's no spammy Arcanist, which was like the last neutral AoE they were really able to utilize. We have Runes of Darkness, a shadow spell for Death Knight. It's got 1 blood rune, discover a weapon, spend 3 corpses to give it +1/+1. I just don't think any deck is running this. It's a decent arena card, but you have to spend 3 corpses just to get like a tiny bit of a benefit. It helps Rainbow DK spend corpses, but that deck's not good, and this card I don't think is either. Sanitize, a warrior spell, 4 mana, deal damage equal to your armor to all minions. So unlike Reckless Flurry, I think it was called, this doesn't destroy your armor. You just deal the AoE. And if you forge this, you gain 3 armor first. So you get guaranteed 3 armor on it, and then whatever your other armor is, that can be incredible. Meaning, even if you get to turn 4, you have no armor. If you forge it ahead of time, you have like an Excavated Evil ready to go. I think this is S tier. I think it's an incredibly good spell that goes into like any Control Warrior deck in Standard and Wild, unless it's not odd. Super solid card, and Warriors already looking pretty good, so they got a really sweet AoE. We have the Serenite Shambler for Demon Hunter, 2 mana 2/3 Battlecry. If you cast 5 or more spells this game, give your hero +4 attack this turn. Again, way scarier in Wild, where like you play, it's like there's so many cheap spells to play and utilize this, but even in Standard, 2 mana Heroic Strike attached to a 2/3 by casting 5 spells. Seems good. Seems pretty darn good when, Demon Hunter does play a lot of spells, whether it's Relic, Outcast runs a decent amount. I'm gonna give it a low A. I think this can slot into multiple Demon Hunter decks. It's a little bit more of a sneaky one, but that is a lot of damage, and maybe you have a lifesteal weapon up and it gets even better. We have the Shadow Touch Cavaldier. I haven't rated the priest cards yet, by the way. We just revealed them, so I'll give them a star rating as well, in case you were wondering. 1 mana, 1/3, Battlecry. Your next healing effects deals damage instead. Kind of weird, it's more like a Shadow Priest card, but all the good healing effects are holy or the regular hero power. It seems okay. It's a 1 mana, 1/3 undead, which almost makes me want to play it anyways, because there's not like a premium stat of 1/3 undead that I can think of besides the Mistake, which I guess doesn't really see much play, so that argument's kind of invalid. I'll give it a C. I just don't really see what you're doing with it in standard. You have like Flash Heal and the 3 mana heal spell, and that's like it. And I don't think it's enough to warrant building around, but maybe that with more synergies, it can really start going off, but I don't think it's quite that good. So it'd be a 2 out of 5 in standard, 2 out of 5 in wild. Shock Harper is a 1 mana, 1/2 elemental beast. For Shaman, Battlecry, get a random overload card. I think like that Nature Shaman, Overload Shaman, those type of decks will love this card. Most overload cards are good. They synergize with what you got going on. You kind of want to overload, and it's something to play in the early game, which those decks are lacking. I'm gonna give it a low A. I'm gonna slot into multiple Shaman decks. We have the Sickly Grime Walker, 3 mana, 2/4 undead for Death Bite. Gets 1 Unholy Rune. After you summon it undead, give it poisonous. It's very expensive to get the good stuff to work with it, like Hollow Hound, Army of the Dead. The only thing that's really good with it is like your hero power, and it's just way too clunky to try and, you know, remove stuff that Taunt, Divine Shield, all that stuff could get in the way. I'm gonna give it a C. It seems more like an arena card to me. We have the Sigil of Time, 3 mana Fell spell for Demon Hunter. At the start of your next turn, you draw 3 additional cards. It's 3 mana, draw 3 with the delayed effect. Works well with those other draw cards. It's a lot of cards. I think probably like Outcast Demon Hunter could run it. Maybe this new Attack Demon Hunter could use it. I'll give it a B. Actually, I'm going to give it an A. Just 3 mana, draw 3, even if it's delayed, I feel like is worth running. We have the Sinister Soul Cage for Death Knight. Again, 1 Unholy Rune, give a friendly undead +2/+2. It's absolutely terrible, but if you spend 5 corpses, you summon a copy of it, which is like a Molten Reflection, or like other copy effects. Druid had one that gives taunt. Like, it didn't have this big a condition when it's just very expensive, very clunky, and I just don't see it being a great corpse spender for Rainbow Decay. That's a second Deathlight card. I'm giving an F, and that makes me sad. We have Soul Burner Avaria, the Priest Legendary, 3 mana, 1/5 undead. After a friendly undead dies, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero and get a random Shadow Priest spell. Note, it's Shadow Priest spell, so you can't get like a Scourge. It's a high health, snowbally minion that can push a bunch of damage, get you a bunch of value. It's the card I always bitch about, and I'm gonna reveal it and be happy about it. But yeah, it's a pretty toxic card. Undead Priest is already really strong, like right near the cusp of like tier 1, tier 2, and it got a great card here. You could give this Reborn to with your 0 mana spell and bring it back as well. There's a lot of synergies going on here. I'm giving it a high A, mainly because it's only for Undead Priest, but I think it's a really good card, and one I'm gonna hate a lot, and I gotta reveal it, so that's actually pretty funny. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5 in standard, 2 out of 5 in wild, where the Shadow Priest there just don't run Undeads, and I don't think you're building around it for that reason. You have the Tainted Remnant, a 5 mana 7/4 elemental for Mage. Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, deal 7 damage, randomly split between all enemies. This card would be fantastic if there was some decent elementals other than like the 2/2 that could cheat this out a bit early, right? Other than that, you got like nothing going on for Elemental Mage in standard. That's why I call this like a really incredible elemental in my video, but I still gave it a 2, and I'm giving it a C because it just won't see meta play. It doesn't have a home. But I guess I give the 3 mana 3/4 draw 2 as well. So we'll give it a B. But again, I just don't think it'll see play as it stands. But yeah, like half an Astalor, but just based around playing an elemental, and you can run 2 of them. Seems very solid. It just doesn't have a home. That's the only issue for the card. We have Rogue spell here with Tentacle Grip, 2 mana, deal 3 combo, get a 1/1 Chaotic Tendril. Part of the reason why I think Rogue can really use the tendrils, do a miracle deck. I'm definitely gonna be trying something like that, or I'm stepping that, playing Yogg, doing all sorts of random shenanigans. Plus that artwork, that poor Sparkbot. But you know what? After getting Wind Fury in stealth, I'd rip their head off tough too. I'm gonna give it an A. I think it's a really solid rogue card. It can go face, it gets you value, gets you random that could scam the game. Seems really strong. We have the Tentacle Tender, 3 mana, 2/5 Warlock, meaning the end of your turn, get a 1/1 Chaotic Tendril. Again, like the Shaman card, it's like okay, but I think it's more like just an arena card. You get that Tendril, you kind of be happy about it, but I don't see any current Warlock deck running it. We have the Tiny World Breaker, 4 mana, 4/4 mech for Rogue. Battlecry, if you control another mech, deal 4 damage. It's like Gormok the Impaler with one hell of a less of a requirement, and it's a mech you can magneticize onto. It gives you additional reach. It's not the most amazing mech in the world. It's probably like the 29th, 30th card in a mech rogue list if they choose to run it, but I do think it has a shot, so I will give it a B. We have Twilight Torrent, a 2 mana shadow spell for Priest. Choose a character. If it's friendly, restore 6 health. If it's an enemy, deal 3 damage. You can heal, overheal, get some good stuff. You can deal face damage. I think this goes into every Priest deck. Shadow, overheal, control. It is super good, super flexible, and one of my favorite cards of the set. This was a card I was happy to reveal because I think it's really clever, where you can either deal, heal, and feel good about it and run in Shadow Priest. I'm giving it an S. I just think it's that versatile that it can fit into literally any Priest deck, and you're gonna feel pretty darn good about it. We have the Twisted Frostwing, a 4 mana 3/3 Rush Hunter minion, Death Rattle, summon a Chimera with stats equal to this minion's attack. So if you buff this in any way, that'll get that, basically if you buff this thing's attack in any way, it'll get those stats. So it's like 7 attack, you get like a 7/7. Right out the gate, it's a 4 mana 6/6, and it can just go up from there, and there's buff possibilities. I will give this a very low A, but I do think it's a really solid card. It has a lot of stats and removal, plus the beast tag, which can be good, can be bad, but overall, I think a really good card. We have Void Scripture, a 2 mana spell for Mage. Discover a spell. It's a shadow, which is super relevant. If you have enough mana to play it, you cast a copy of it at a random enemy. So let's say you're on 10 mana, you play this and you get like the taunt spell, you get that, and then you can play it again, right? That's pretty ridiculous. But even if you don't get the value from it of like casting again, and the fact that it's targeted and won't backfire, quite nice. It's just very flexible, really nice, and it's shadow, which right now it's just reverberations or bust right now when you're trying to get that shadow spell going in your rainbow mage or whatever. And I think this is like auto include in a ton of mage decks. I don't think it's S tier, but I do think it's a very high A and can generate some scans as well, being able to cast it if you have the mana. And lastly, we have the first and probably only neutral Titan, unless we get one in the last mini set of the year, which can reuse themes from all the expansions throughout the year. Yogg-Saron Unleashed, 15 mana 7/5, costs 1 less for each spell you cast this game. You can basically use its ability, one of its 3 abilities, to like cast basically mass hysteria on your opponent's board only. Mind control a minion of your choice, or get a full hand of tendrils. Bunch of value. I see this being a staple in like a Miracle Rogue that could shadow step this for like 0 mana, which is ridiculous if you get to 15 spells. Control Priest, which run a bunch of spells already, can get more copies of this, can help to control the board and just get incredible value. I could see a Druid running this because they need that way to recover the board and they play a lot of spells. Those are the classes that really stand out, as well as Mage. Mage playing a bunch of spells and doing all that. I think it's a very solid card. The fact that you can abuse it, play it so early, and a lot of classes will be able to play it multiple times, or might even make like that Projectionist card meta relevant, where I could play that in any deck as long as it's dirt cheap and keep bouncing Yogg and doing stuff. I think he's an S tier Old God. I think he's that good. Well, I guess Titan. I think he's that good. He'll slot into a bunch of decks and be really, really strong. So there's my tier list. I think this mini set is quite powerful. I don't see the meta changing a lot, though. Ironically, I still think the top classes will be the top classes, with basically Undead Priest and Arcane Hunter getting the big boosts, Warrior getting a boost as well, but those classes are already doing really well. I don't see a ton changing until we get that real balance patch after the mini set. Keep you updated on all that, and as always, we'll have our day 1 patch review, so stay tuned for that tomorrow, and come hang out. Twitch.tv/Zeddy. We'll be streaming this again around 10 a.m. Pacific time. Should be a lot of fun. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.